So today is the rematch between the Indiana Fever and the Los Angeles Sparks, two of the worst teams in the WNBA. And there's a reason why they had the number 1 and number 2 overall picks, but they are both pretty weak teams. And I think the Fever are 1-6, the Sparks are 1-4. The Fever's only win coming against the Sparks, and the Sparks only win coming up against the Mystics, who are in fact probably worse than those two teams. But before we get on, if you guys are new to the channel, subscribe. We're trying to hit 4,000 subscribers as soon as possible. We can somehow hit that by the end of tomorrow, or even by the end of this month. That would be absolutely incredible. Either way, now let's get on to the video right here. So, lads, basically these two are matching up, and it's a battle of probably 1 and 2 in Rookie of the Year right now. Look, I know Angel Reese has been exceptional. Angel Reese is again, I do want to, while there's no background noise potentially in this video, make a video where I can get my points across on how much great I think Angel Reese is as a player. It's very rare that Rookie of the Year goes to a Joakim Noah type player. I think that's probably the best comparison. I've been kind of comparing her to Rodman, but on the court, I think Joakim Noah. And for anyone saying Joakim Noah is an insult, Joakim Noah literally was 4th in MVP voting a couple of years back. Just the fact she does every single thing well except shooting and is an unbelievable defender. I think Noah's probably your best comparison as far as NBA players. Prime Noah, that is. But it's likely that Rookie of the Year is going to go to one of Cameron Brink or Caitlin Clark. And them two are matching up today. Cameron Brink has had 2 back-to-back brilliant games. 21 points and 15 points. She's still averaging over 3 blocks a game. She's hitting the 3 ball. She's passing the ball well. Her teammates don't really look for her with the ball, which is not the greatest thing considering how efficiently she's scoring. But she is putting up 12 points a game, which is really nice, as well as leading all rookies in almost everything. As far as rookies and everything, she's 2nd in rebounds. It's 2nd in rebounds or something. 2nd and 3rd in points. 1st in every efficiency stat, she's 1st. 1st in blocks. 1st in steals. It's crazy with Cameron Brink. Then obviously they've got Rickea Jackson as well. And obviously they've got Rickea Jackson as well, who has been an unbelievable rookie. She's not getting as much court time, but she's still really good. A lot of people are saying that she's the best rookie in the Sparks. She's not, but she's probably the best offensive rookie in the Sparks. The two of them were Sparks' 2 best players against the Fever the last time. And obviously the Fever are one of the more interesting teams in the WNBA, not only because Caitlin Clark plays for them. They're such an interesting team because of just their madness. It's just madness watching them play. You're watching and you're like, this is they're one of the worst coach teams I've ever seen. You've got Kelsey Mitchell, who has never seen a shot she doesn't like. She's shooting the ball at the same rate as someone like Arika at a much lower clip. It's not great. Aliyah Boston is really good, but just doesn't fit. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. She is getting a bit better. She's moving better, and I reckon by after the Olympics, if the Fever end up getting it together and scraping a playoff spot, which isn't the hardest thing to do in the WNBA, you can do that even with a major losing record. If they can scrape a playoff spot, when Aliyah Boston comes back from the Olympics in better shape, they're going to be fine. They're going to be fine. But then you've also got Wheeler, who's the 7th highest paid player in the league, and Erica Wheeler is not very good at basketball, not a very good WNBA player. I know she had that one really good year where she was an All-Star, won All-Star game MVP, but that was it. She was a bang average player. The problem is that you have to sign free agents, and no free agent wanted to come to Indiana, so obviously they had to overpay free agents, just like in the NBA with small markets. A lot of people are wondering why Wheeler got paid so much. That's it, because no free agent wanted to go there. And when listening to Fagbenle's interview, she's basically just saying that how good Clark is at finding her when she runs. She's just I just run and I know when I'm open, the ball's going to be there. And that is, again, the one thing, no matter what you say about Caitlin Clark, she is the best lead pass. She's the best lead guard on the break in the WNBA right now. She is the best. She is the best at that right now. And anyone calling her a bust, if you think she's going to be a future GOAT, she's a bust, but she's a borderline all-star this year. She is. She doesn't have a hezzy tween ISO game, but she's a borderline all-star this year, even as is. With how good she's been playing. But yeah, it is going to be really interesting. The Fever are so interesting for that reason. We can see if Christy Sides changes up anything, if they have any sort of a defensive scheme, more defensive schemes, more offensive schemes. But the Sparks, like, it's weird. Like, the Fever beating the Sparks. Record-wise, the Sparks are much worse than the Fever. The Spark, or not much worse, about the same as the Fever. The Sparks just look like they're the better team. Like, they came up against the Wings and came up just a little bit short. Like, their running team's really, really close. But they just look like a more functioning basketball team. They don't seem to have as much talent. Like, the Sparks, like, Hamby's a good player. Like, the Sparks have players around Cameron Brink. They have players around, like, Ricky Jackson. Like, neither of those are their first options. Like, neither Brink or Jackson are the first or second options. Whereas, obviously, if you are the Indiana Fever, your first option is Caitlin Clark. So it's very, very different. But, like, Hamby's, again, a really good player. Like, she had 19 and 13 against the Wings. And it's going to be really interesting to see what happens today, because it all comes down to whether or not, like, I think Cameron Brink's ability to stay out of foul trouble is going to be a huge factor in this game. Like, she alters how people attack the basket, which is, like, really, really rare at the WNBA level. And especially because with the way that the Fever play, especially in the half court, trying to get the ball into Alia Boston, she's going to alter everything. She's going to alter any shot Boston tries to take. Although, if there is a scenario where the Fever can get out and run, I think they can be quite successful. But it is gonna be interesting to see, especially when it comes to Caitlin Clark, because she's not shooting the ball very much. And a lot of people are saying she needs to shoot the ball more without looking at the why she's not shooting the ball. She's not shooting the ball because she's not shooting dumb shots. And in fairness to Caitlin, like the one thing Caitlin Clark's not very good at doing is doing that hezzy tween isolation basketball and being able to create, like, being able to do much in a one-on-one. Like, she worked off screens in Indiana. She worked off screens, and what she's really good at is if she gets a step ahead of you, if you jump to get onto her right hand, she's really good at pulling back into the jump shot. And she's very, very good going left and hitting you with 2-3 step backs and eventually creating some space. But, like, all of that needs two things. It needs one-on-one situations, and it needs a screen to cause the defensive player to either be a little bit behind her or kind of like trying to predict what she's going to do. And she's very, very good at, even though it's very obvious what she's going to do, of faking something and going left a couple of times, hitting that step back. She's very good at pulling back. She's good when somebody plays behind her. She makes the right decisions an awful lot of the time going to the basket. It's just being left on an island, she is going to struggle in this league. And then every time she comes into a situation where off a screen where she might be able to get free, she gets blitzed. So when it comes to Clark, almost in her entire offense this year has been in transition. And you might be saying, like, oh, but, like, sometimes she's, like, crossing people up and shooting the three. Yeah, but she's going in from transition. The defense are coming backwards. The defense are on the back foot, and that's where she can thrive. Whereas once it slows down, other than sometimes passing well out of double teams and passing the ball, she's been horrific. And I think the Fever did a really good job up until the fourth quarter of last time of not allowing Caitlin Clark getting any rhythm, and then Clark goes and hits the two daggers. Like, it's going to be hard. It's not going to be hard to stop Caitlin Clark. If Christy Sides is able to put something in their few days off in order to get other players free, it's going to be very hard to stop this Fever team. I think if they can get it all clicking, which I actually don't think they will with this coach, I will seriously question as far as, like, I'm not going to question the competence level of her as a coach, but the competence level of her as a professional basketball coach, I would seriously question that. But I do think as far as the talent goes, it's a team that's too talented to be near the bottom of the league. But they play, and it's the reason why they're so interesting to watch, is that they play the worst basketball in the entire WNBA. They do not have the least talent. They have a lot of good players, but they play the worst basketball. Whereas the Sparks do not have the talent. Like, Jackson's good, Brink's good, Hamby's good. Or is it Yaru? She balled out, actually. The tall... what is her name? Yeah, Yaru. She was great against the Wings. She's huge. She is absolutely huge. And, like, her coming off the bench, they're going to have, like, teams are going to have trouble dealing with her as well. So the Sparks, they don't quite have the talent that the Indiana Fever do, but they just don't play the worst brand of basketball I've ever seen. So it's going to be an interesting game tonight. Every game with the Fever is interesting because it's just mad watching them play basketball. It is very fun to watch because you don't know what they're going to do possession on possession. And this is a game where if they can go 2-6, I don't know who they play. They're coming up on Saturday against, I think it's the Mystics they play on the 8th. But if they can go 2-6, and I don't know who they're playing between that game and the Wings game, or in the Sky game. So they're playing the Sparks tonight, and then they are playing the Seattle Storm at home. And as good as the Storm are, they can win that game. They should have beat them in Seattle. They can win that game. If they can somehow go 3-6, and then they're facing a Sky team who are at the time, who could well be like, they could be 4-2, they could be 3-3, they could be 2-4. Like, the Sky are a pretty decent team. They're nothing special. And then coming into that game, if it's like 2-4 versus 3-6, both of those teams are very even record-wise. So the next week is going to be very interesting. Like, if they somehow go 1-9, the Fever, they're going to really struggle. As for the Sparks, I don't think the Sparks even have the ceiling of being like a good playoff team. I think they're a piece or two away. Like, I think if somehow they can manage to get Paige Beckers next year, that will help them out big time. But anyway, that is obviously the biggest game of the day. Sky are playing as well. We get to see Angel Reese again. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.